Alright, so this is lesson 71, solving quadratic equations by taking a square root. Okay, so I've taught you 4 ways to factor or to solve. The first way was to find the GCF. Second way was to... What was the second way? Oh, Xbox. Third way was to, if there was no b, difference of squares, and the last way was factored by grouping. Remember all that? So let's go back to the third way. What if there's no b? Okay, we could do difference of squares. But what happens if they're not perfect? Like it's not a perfect square, right? Well, then we're going to do what we're learning today. So this is like no b, but we don't do difference of squares, but we still need an answer. Okay, here are the steps for today. So here we go. Numbers 1 and 2. Watch carefully before you start writing. You'll have time to write. Okay, 2x squared minus 7 is equal to 121. Okay, when I look at this problem, I'm looking at it and I'm seeing that there's an a here. A is equal to 2, right? There is no b here, right? There's no something times x, right? So b is really 0. And there's a c here, and there's a c here. When this is the case, I need to think, can I take a perfect square? Is there a square root of 2? Nope. So now I'm going to have to do something else. This is a new method that you need to know. It's called taking a square root. So when this is the case, we need to isolate the square root sign. So we're going to add 7 to both sides, moving the constants to the opposite side. So we get 2x squared is equal to 128. Okay. I have 2 times x squared. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So if x squared is equal to 64, then I'm going to take a square root of both sides. When I do that, square root cancels out with the square, leaving just x. Okay? And what times itself twice is going to equal to 64? Positive 8 and negative 8. There's 2 answers, right? X is to what power at the beginning of the problem? X to the what power? X squared. So there's how many answers? 2. Positive and negative 8. Okay? Did y'all get that? Okay, again, what did I do? First thing I did is I asked myself, what's A, B, and C? There's A is 2, there is no B, and there's a C. So we know that there's no square root of 2, so I'm going to isolate the square root, so I add 7 to both sides. Okay, so we get 2x squared is equal to 128. Then I'm going to isolate the x term, divide by 2 on both sides. So x squared is equal to 64. Take a square root of both sides because the opposite of taking a square is called a what? Square root. Okay? That's how you do number 1. Watch me do number 2. Again, we have a is equal to 3 here. There is no b, so b is 0. And there's a c of 6, and then there's 45 on the opposite side, which is also a c. Okay? I know that there is no square root of 3, so I'm going to have to isolate the m squared. I'm going to subtract 6 on both sides. When I do that, I get 3m squared is equal to positive 39. Divide both sides by 3. So we get m squared is equal to 13. Take the square root of both sides. Squared cancels out with the square, so m is equal to... Now I know that there's no square root of 13, so we just leave it as positive and negative. We're at 13. That's it. We can't simplify that anymore because 13 is prime and there is no square root. Okay? That's how you do it. Does that make sense? Okay? If I were to put square root of 13 in a calculator, I would get an answer like 3.5 something, and it's going to be irrational, so we're going to leave it like this. This is easier to deal with. Okay? Any questions on 1 or 2? Alright, so I'd like you to, 1 solve 2 is about number 1. Then okay, number 3. Number 3. Okay, so we got 3r squared plus 4 is equal to 112. 3r squared plus 4 is equal to 112. So first thing I want to do is ask myself, what's A? A is 3. Is there a B?
Yeah. No.
No, there is no b, right? And is there a c?
Yeah.
C is equal to what?
4.
4. But there's also more c's on this side, right? On the opposite side of the equal sign. So, next thing we want to ask, it could be difference of squares. No, before that. It could be difference of squares, but is there a square root of 3? Is 3 a perfect square? No, so now we're going to subtract 4, okay? So 3r squared, we're going to subtract 4, which is equal to 108. Okay? Next step, what do you think we're supposed to do? Divide both sides by 3. So r squared is equal to 36. Okay, what's the opposite of squaring something? What? What's the opposite of squaring? Square root. What's the opposite of squaring? Good. So.
R equals 6. Oh, R equals plus or negative 6.
Okay, so we're good. So we take opposite. Those cancel out, leaving just r, and then square root of 36 is positive 6 and. Good, right? Because we know that if we squared either of those, we get 36. That's your answer. Okay. Number 4. Now, number 4, it looks like we could take a square root, right? But if I were to take a square root of 151, can I do that? We can't do that, so let's do this one together. So what's a equal to on number 4? Good. B. And why is it no solution? Okay. Good. Again, you can't have a negative times negative be equal to a negative, or a positive times positive equal to a positive. So when we have the square root of a negative number, you automatically assume no solution, right? Right here, this is the problem. Square root of a negative number. It doesn't matter what it is, okay? Next one, number 6, by yourself. Go. No solution is correct. Sorry, my computer's running slow. But yeah, the answer is no solution.